Hi, Jason. How are you today?
Not bad also. Pat, how's it going with you? The legendary Pat Travers, I should say.
Exactly.
Awesome,
No, I'm
awesome.
doing fine. I'm at home here just outside of Orlando, Florida, and it's actually stopped raining now, but it's been a typical summer rainy day, and I'm just kicking back.
So Pat, how busy have you been these days? I mean, you got a new album out, Can Do, and you're keeping very busy, it seems, online.
Right. Yeah, especially starting coming up here. I start this tour in Las Vegas next week with Edgar Winter and Rick Derringer and Canned Heat, and 10 years after. That's like 22 shows in about 28 days. So I'm going to be busy with that. And then after that, we have a bunch of shows in September. Then we go to the UK for the tour. Then Europe after that in November. And then we're working on December now. So, with the release of the new album and with all the shows coming up, yeah, I'm busy, but that's okay. I'd rather complain about being busy than the alternative.
Now, this album, has it been a long process to make, for Can Do and, to write it, etc.?
Well, I started early last year, around probably February or March, writing the songs, and then got into the recording of the album in May sometime. But then I didn't really finish it until December, so it took me about 8 months altogether. But I was also out. That was just a bad line. We're okay. We were talking about, the amount of time that I worked on the album, which, I was not under any great pressure by the record company Frontiers to hand it in at a certain time. Now, initially, when I spoke with them about recording the album last year, they had requested, or they said, if possible, could I record an album that was similar in style to the first 4 or 5 albums that I ever did? And I told them that I could, but I wasn't really sure if I could. But I think that it's just the fact that I was able to spend enough time on it and, work on 2 or 3 songs at a time. It definitely, and I wrote some great songs, I think. So everything sort of fell into place, and we've come up with a great album, I think, that's going to launch us into the stratosphere.
Is basically, going back to the classic era, of looking for songs to do, in your head.
But, here's the thing. I don't think I really did anything different than I ever really would do. I tend to still work the same way, and I got lucky with writing some good songs, but then I also, had my voice was in good shape, and of course the playing from the guys was great, and the recording production from Sean Shannon, my co-producer, is just really great. So we had a lot of things all go right at the same time, which is usually the way things happen.
Now, as a great guitar player, where do you get inspiration sometimes to keep it fresh, year after year?
Well, I don't know. Lately, the last couple of years, I've been listening to a lot of really old blues. Now, I don't play with a real old blues style, but I like their personality and their character and the way where they're coming from rhythmically and their note choices. So. And then also, I worked on this album last year called Blues on Fire that I did for Cleopatra Records, and it was all songs that had been recorded in the 1920s. So there were a lot of different styles there and a lot of different ways to write the songs, and I think that had an influence on me too, So, we're all just the result of everything we go through, really.
And who's all playing on this album?
I've got Kirk McKim, who plays guitar. He plays a lot of guitar, and I mean, I play a lot of guitar too, but he does all the cool enhancement stuff that's on it. And Sandy Gennaro plays drums. He has been, actually, we played together in 81, 83, and did a couple of big albums and some tours together. And he's back now for the last couple of years. and then on bass guitar I have Rodney O'Quinn, and Rodney's been playing with me since the beginning of 2008. So, we've definitely had some time to gel, and we're a pretty tough band, I think.
Now, and for guitars and amps and stuff, like, did you experiment a little bit, or keeping it straight?
The amps I like are the Black Star Artisan series. They're like old hand-wired Marshalls from the 70s or whatever. And then as far as guitars, I use PRS. I've been using them for almost 10 years now. I do have some other guitars that are just at home that I only use in the studio, like an old Telecaster and an old Strat and stuff. But for the most part, it's just my Paul Reed Smith guitars that are on there.
Now, Pat, let's say you go on tour. How exciting is it nowadays, because you probably have your iPad and stuff like that, correct? To amaze time. A little iPad and, iPhone.
No, I don't have an iPad. No, I have my iMac, my MacBook Pro, rather, which is sick right now and needs to go into the shop. But, I do the social media thing on my Facebook page, and I'm pretty consistent with that, but I'm not, and I'm a little disappointed that everybody spends so much time looking at their screens. I just find it all a little weird. I still think it's just real glorified. See, I was around when we had CB radio, and I always thought CB radio was stupid too, and I think the internet is just glorified CB radio. Basically, people spend a whole lot of time talking about nothing, but it is an important thing in our lives. So, but no, I'm not a slave to the iPod or anything, or iPad or anything like that.
Now, and of course, going out and playing these gigs nowadays, the people are seeing you again, and younger people are seeing you. What do you think of that? To being rediscovered, for a new era of people, younger generation, I should say.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that, and I've noticed this actually starting in Europe a few years ago when we would play, and there would be some younger kids there in their 20s or whatever, and I would talk to them after the shows, and they would say, "Yeah, well, we're just looking for new inspiration, we want to check out everything we can." And I always thought that was great, because that's what I did when I first started too. I didn't care what type of music someone was playing. I just wanted to see someone play, for inspiration. But I think we've created a new rock album here. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of our new fans end up being in their 20s and 30s. It wouldn't surprise me. And we still look good anyway,
Well, that's all that matters, If you look good and you play good, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what we call all rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
So, Pat, you keep him very busy, it seems, and that's good. Last time I talked to you was maybe 2 years ago when we talked, about the future of, guitarists, how they're going to be learning and, and how it's getting watered down at a certain level. Where do you see that all going, 10 years from now, people looking at it?
I saw, the other day, I got a message on my Facebook page from a young guy in Boston, and he's only 14 years old, and he sent me a video of him playing guitar with his band, and I'll tell you what, I was so blown away. And I've always maintained that somebody would come along at some point and grab everybody's imagination. And if this kid Aaron Norcross is his name, he's only 14, and he's just blowing people away. So I feel pretty good that somebody will step up to the plate here and just, take everybody by surprise.
So that means there is a future.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt, yeah. Without a doubt, yeah.
Well, excellent stuff. Pat, been a pleasure talking to you again, and wish you only the best, because you keep on doing great albums, and just keep on doing it, man.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing and talking to you again soon.
All right. You have a good one.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.